Hey everyone, and we're back. We're back in the New York groove. It is Friday morning, and I'm headed to work. And feeling good, feeling good. Today, I was thinking we'd talk about, I guess, getting started riding, learning how to ride, things to do to get you started. You know, the important safety stuff. Safety should be your primary concern. But, you know, you still do it to have fun. You still do it for the freedom, enjoy it and all that. The first step is always to, know if you really want to do it. No, it's not just something that you want to cross off the bucket list. Yeah, you could do it for that, but there's a lot of investment you have to do in it. You got to get your permit, you got to get the license. I highly suggest taking the actual course, the Motorcycle Safety Foundation course, only because it teaches you all the important things to look for, all the ways to be safe, all the ways to enjoy riding. And you learn in a very controlled environment, and it's important to learn in an environment where you're not at risk because of how dangerous it can be. They'll go through everything with you. The course I took, I don't know if all courses are like this, but the one I took, it looks like there might be some traffic today, but that should be okay. The course I took was a 2-day course. Each day was 10 hours, and the first few hours were all theory and in a classroom. That was a weird sounding horn. All were theory and in a classroom, and then after that they take you out to the to like a blocked off parking lot sort of area, large parking lot area, and they set up various courses, I guess you'd call them. They go through everything essentially, what needs to be paid attention to, what you need to look out for, how to perform emergency maneuvers, all the good stuff. And yeah, we are running into some traffic today. That'll be nice. They run through everything, they run through the basics, they run through safety, they run through, having fun. But they sort of drill in this mentality into your head about how safety should be the first and most primary concern, which I like, because I'm a naturally cautious guy. I like to be, I like to tread cautiously. I don't like to I'm not a very risky, sorry, I just forgot how to English. I'm not a huge risk taker. So naturally, assuming I'm not a huge risk taker, you wouldn't think I'd be a guy out here on a bike, but here we are. That being said, alright, so you've got, you went and you got your permit, you went and you took your MSF course, now you've got your license. Now, you need to get your bike. Bear with me. Bear with me. Alright, so you've got your permit, you've got your license, you've taken the course, you're trying to find your first bike. Me personally, I started with the Ninja 650. I did a lot of reading on forums, you know, I went to a lot of you know, I read a lot of articles saying, you know, don't jump right onto a big 4-cylinder super sport. Granted, that's not to say you couldn't start on those. You could if you know, if you had the right thought process going into it, if I guess your reactions were on point and all that stuff. But you know, start small. You don't want a super sport first. You want something manageable so you can learn how to ride. You want something where you know you can control it and you'll be in control of it. You don't want it to be too heavy, there's a lot to take in. But yeah, I went for the 650, and it hasn't let me down yet. It's a very good bike. It's comfortable, so it works in this New York environment. It's a good choice for me. I always talk about this New York environment because, you know, the drivers are they're very intense drivers. You have to be able to you gotta have sense about it, because they don't care what's behind them. If it doesn't get out of the way, they don't care. So you gotta really be careful around here. Safety is a huge issue for me. I like keeping myself intact. That being said, there are still a lot of guys out here who have super sports, and they have those bikes, and they do well with those bikes, and I applaud them for it. You can do all those things here and still have the bike you want. But don't overestimate yourself. You can go at 250 right after you take the course. That's perfectly fine. You can do that. You can take the 250, you can pick something else. You know, just pick a bike you want to have. Go for the style you want too. Don't just buy a 250 cruiser because that's what they had at the course and that's what, you know, you felt. You want to get used to the bike you want. Buy that Ninja 250. The other thing I did that isn't highly suggested is buying a brand new bike. This bike was brand new when I bought it. That being said, it's because I sometimes get overzealous. So when I want something, I want something that I can trust and I know will work. So the story about how that happened was I was finally in a place where I could be safely employed. Like I wasn't going anywhere anytime soon. I had a decent job going. I had income. So I was looking, you know, for the next thing in my life. And that next thing happened to be a motorcycle. I was like, "Oh man, this would be great. I want a motorcycle, and I wanna ride a bike, and I just want to do all that stuff. So I went and I got the permit, and that stewed for about 7-8 months. And then one day I'm like, well, I have this permit. Let me go into the motorcycle dealership that's, a little place from my house. I'm just gonna take a look around. Addendum to that, I had already signed up for the Motorcycle Safety Foundation basic rider course. So I was ready to go for that, and I needed gear for it. They ask you to bring a helmet, they ask you to bring gloves, and they ask you to bring a jacket, and then some boots. They don't have to be motorcycle boots, they just have to be over the ankle, and jeans, right? So I had jeans, I had boots, I didn't have the other stuff. So instead of shopping online, I like to try stuff on from time to time if I'm really into it. So I go, I pick out a helmet, I pick out a jacket, and then I start talking to one of the sales guys, which was probably my first mistake, about, buying a bike. What do you think good bikes are to start on? I was really looking for something in the sport family. What do you suggest? So he first shows me a Ninja 650, particularly this Ninja 650, the one I'm sitting on right now. This is the first bike I sat on in the dealership, and I just loved the way it felt. The seat was comfortable, the grips were in a nice place. It felt right, and it felt very cool. And then I was like, yeah, well, I have, a friend, he's got a ZX6, so he took me over to the Super Sports. I sat on a ZX6, I sat on an R6. Now, they weren't as comfortable, which probably spoiled because I sat on this bike, but I didn't like how aggressive the position was. Mind you, this is a year later, and I went to the bike show and I sat on the same ZX6, and now I'm in love with it. But it wasn't comfortable at the time, and it felt almost too intimidating for someone who hadn't done any riding at all by this point. So we went back over to the 650, and he's like, it's a very good beginner bike, and it's still a decent sized engine. It's a parallel twin, so you're not going to get the crazy intense power that a Super Sport gives you at a certain RPM. You have power all over the range. So and then that's when I was like, yeah, this is the bike I want. So, we negotiated price, I bought the bike. They delivered it to my house, which was really nice of them. And since then, and then I went and took the safety course, and I ran through earlier, like what they did, just a short, brief description of everything they did, and that was that. I really enjoyed the course itself. It intimidated me for a while because there was a lot of yelling at me to do certain things, yelling at me to keep my head up, yelling at me to turn my head and see stuff around me, and I'm glad they did that. I'm glad they instilled that in me, because I'd probably still be looking around and looking at my feet and wondering, where am I going while I'm just riding on the highway? Where's my shifter? I'm glad they made me learn to sense where everything is. Being aware, I guess, is the word I should use. Being aware of what's going on around you, what's happening, and who's behind you, who's on the side of you, who's in your blind spot. Being aware of all those things and making the right judgment call and not taking huge risks. But yeah, I think that about sums it up. So we'll run over it again, right? Get your permit. Read through the book. There's a lot of good information in there. There's a lot of stuff to learn. Take the basic rider safety course. Take it. I can't stress it enough. It's a little on the pricey side, but absolutely worth it. Hello, friend. I made a friend. He's got a 650R as well. He's splitting lanes. I don't. I like doing what I do. I like just chilling. Having fun. It's got a nice sounding exhaust on it. I need one of those. I haven't come off the clutch at all this entire time. Back to my little rundown we were doing. Permit, license, safety course. Nice starter bike. Nice used starter bike if you can help it. Just go into it assuming you're probably going to drop it. You might not. Not everyone will. But it's best to assume that that's going to happen. You know, everyone makes mistakes, and it's part of the learning process. And I think if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning. It's important to make mistakes to learn what you can do to make it better going forward. But yeah, I think that pretty much sums up everything I wanted to talk about in this video. Normally, I would just record until I got to my destination, but I think now what I'm gonna do is I'll talk. Once I finish talking about what I wanted to talk about, I'll do a little outro, you know, and then we can talk about more stuff if there's time for it in the ride, if I come up with anything to talk about. With that being said, I think this is where we're going to sign off, because it looks like I'm going to be stuck in traffic a little bit, and I don't want to bore you anymore. So, thanks for watching, guys, as always. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.